Mayweather openly confronted Jake Paul over the no-knockout rule. Set for his clash with Gervonta Davis, he declared that Jake is more concerned with selling hype and turning the fight into pure spectacle instead of genuine warfare. To Floyd, real boxing is defined by skill, grit, and competition, not staged rules that reduce it into a scripted show. Still, he admitted both men know exactly what they're signing up for.
But like I said before, they know what they're doing. Both brothers.
Wade Plemons on X stated, "I think we all knew this would be an exhibition, but the Florida State Athletic Commission saying they will display skill without necessarily striving to win using strikes and blows to the head or other full contact maneuvers probably isn't the best to advertise the fight, LOL." Plemons is known for his sharp takes in boxing.
Voiced his opinion on X, saying everyone expected this to be an exhibition. But the Florida Commission's statement that fighters will showcase skills without fully trying to win through strikes or headshots isn't exactly the best way to promote. Lol. Known for his razor-sharp takes, Plemons criticized how such language kills intensity. For hardcore fans, framing it like this destroys excitement. Analysts now claim Mayweather's pursuit of Mike Tyson is not driven by money alone, but also pride, reputation, and dominance. With Jake versus Tank hogging headlines, Floyd ensured that by signing Tyson, the spotlight returned to him, a classic Mayweather tactic: control the stage, overshadow rivals, and remind the world his name still reigns supreme.
Now that there's so many celebrities and so many people that are known, where you can get somebody and they can sell tickets to events, that's what kicked off the social media influence boxing that Jake Paul was birthed from. Now we're in a vacuum. And so there's going to be a lot of conversation about that and continuing to do that. In this particular video, though, I want to get into the mind.
At the center of this storm lies legacy. Mayweather, undefeated and retired, risks nothing in exhibitions for him. It's reputation and revenue maintenance. Jake Paul, still learning, thrives on spectacles to strengthen his identity. But for Gervonta Davis, the stakes cut deeper. Every fight he chooses defines his career path. By favoring entertainment over real tests, he risks his standing among purists demanding legitimate opposition. The burning question, is fleeting fame worth sacrificing long-term greatness?
Of Floyd Mayweather Jr. and why Floyd Mayweather Jr. would do this. There is the money, but there's also the competitive nature of Floyd Mayweather Jr. and him not wanting to have other people think that they're a bigger star than he is. Floyd Mayweather Jr. has not been able to really launch his star outside of the sport of boxing, so he continues to do exhibitions. Now, what I think is that Floyd Mayweather Jr. is announced it at this point in time with Mike Tyson in order to take advantage of the publicity heading into the Gervonta Davis, Jake Paul fight, which is, I do believe, set for November. So now that they have all the publicity and all that stuff coming out from that, he's going to piggyback on it and then try to have it in the beginning of next year sometime and actually make it a bigger event than Gervonta versus Jake Paul. And it probably will be. And the reason that I say that is
for the Paul Tank fight could have stolen headlines. But Mayweather's move secured the spotlight for himself. For decades, he's mastered the art of attention, bending rules, creating controversy, yet always keeping control. His latest maneuver proves he still has the sharpest competitive edge. By locking in Tyson, Floyd made himself the main attraction once again. The Tyson legacy combined with Floyd's unbeaten record is far more powerful than Jake versus Tank. And since the Paul Davis showdown isn't sanctioned as a professional contest, critics slam it as closer to WWE drama than boxing, with no knockouts, no titles, and no stakes. Many view it as a money-driven gimmick that threatens to erode boxing's authenticity.
What is going to happen in that fight is basically the same thing as what's happening to Canelo Alvarez and Terrence Crawford, except for that is a live action fight. That is a real competitive fight, but the marketing of it is the same thing. And the fact that somebody is going to pay for it is more likely with Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Mike Tyson than it is with even Jake Paul and Gervonta. But I think that it really is an attempt to compete with Gervonta Davis by setting up a bigger fight than Gervonta Davis is having. And I'm going to tell you this something else too. I would not put it past these people.
Former champion Paulie Malignaggi voiced fury at the matchup. He stressed knockouts only matter when they come against evenly matched rivals. Manufactured setups like this cheapen the craft. He argued Jake Paul gains unearned respect from sideshows that bring spectacle but no substance. Debating Chris Algieri, Paulie explained casuals might enjoy it, but true boxing followers recognize the lack of integrity. Another critical issue is weight. The Florida Commission made it clear the wide size gap between Jake and Tank created unsafe conditions. That's why it was downgraded into a sparring exhibition instead of a sanctioned fight. It exposes how rules and safety limits collide with entertainment ambitions, proving how unorthodox this pairing really is.
Will face Gervonta Davis in an exhibition match. Quote, "You can't do a fight like that as a pro fight," Shipman said. It'll be an exhibition fight, end quote. Similarly to the concerning location move, he states that the main reason for this is the significant weight disparity between the two opponents. An exhibition is defined by Florida statutes as a boxing, kickboxing, or mixed martial arts engagement in which persons participating show or display their skills without necessarily striving to win, using strikes, elbows, blah, blah, blah. So the key word here is, key phrase, show or display their skills without necessarily striving to win. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what I told you. It's WWE. Okay? This is WWE, like I told you. These are setup fights. These are rigged fights. I know Jake Paul gets upset when people say he ain't a real fighter and all that stuff. But I think the Mike Tyson fight pretty much showed everybody that, Mike was pulling back on his punches, and it just was weird to me. You know what I'm saying? Now you got Gervonta Tank Davis getting ready to sell his soul to go up in here and move around the ring with Jake Paul. I don't know what's going to happen on this. I don't know. But regardless of the fact, the fight is going to do well because it's going to be on Netflix. So everybody got Netflix, so everybody's going to watch the fight. So it's going to be like a wrestling event, basically, a fake scripted fight.
Ex-broadcaster Adol Adipo added a different take. Exhibitions should be reserved for fighters past their peaks like Mayweather versus Logan Paul. Doing it now, when both Jake and Tank are still in their primes, risks derailing careers. These are years fighters can never recover. For Oladipo, the issue isn't spectacle, it's timing. Using prime years for circus fights may cost them the chance to cement lasting legacies.
Paulie, knockouts, dude. Knockouts. People like knockouts. They don't care if you're knocking out cab drivers. Look at Jake Paul's career.
You can manufacture that, though. You can manufacture that, though. You can manufacture knockouts. You can't manufacture. To a degree, you can. To a degree. I mean, Gervonta legitimately cannot get knockouts. I agree. He can punch, but there's a lot of limited knockout artists, though, man.
He's one of the least active punchers in the game with the highest knockout percentage of current heavyweight.
But if he was a real knockout artist,
if
he was a real knockout artist, prop him up against the best of the best. Felix Trinidad was a knockout artist. He was knocking out the best of the best. If you're a real knockout artist, prop him up against the best and show us how he smokes them. But the way we did when Felix Trinidad was doing it. You know, the way they did when Mike Tyson was doing it in his prime. Say what you want about the Mike Tyson era. He knocked out everyone from 1986 to 1989. Everyone got knocked out. Everyone.
Well, by your standard, you could say that Tyson was to a degree manufactured.
No, because he fought everyone that was there. Everyone that was there at that time.
Teddy Ellis will 100% agree with this.
With the expense of Witherspoon.
They were afraid of him.
With the exception of Witherspoon. No, but they all, doesn't matter. He knocked them all out. There was nobody you could say in that era except maybe Witherspoon, who had contract issues with King at the time. Except for Witherspoon, There is nobody Tyson didn't fight in that era. He knocked them all out. You can't say like, oh, but if he would have fought that guy, I don't know. No, with Davis, there's guys right now that have been hanging around for years. Yo, dude, when are you going to fight them? The lightweight division was stacked with talent. Even at 130, it had a lot of talent when he was there. Didn't fight almost any of them. So it's not the same thing as the Tyson era. You want to say anything about Tyson era? Fine. It wasn't as high level or something. He still knocked out everyone. There was nobody there in that era that you can say Tyson didn't fight.
Didn't say it was related. It was the same as the Tyson era. Didn't say it at all. I was actually going to say the opposite when you talk about Trinidad. Trinidad is a bona fide superstar. And the way that he was, and like you said, he
stepped him up and he knocked out.
And he was a knockout punches. No, of course. So that's a different thing. So is Sugar Ray Leonard. Now, you also have to compare it to your contemporaries. Nobody is selling, dude. Nobody is selling. No one sells tickets. No one has a following these days. There's very few fighters who actually sell tickets.
There's a push, bro. I was at
Canelo
Showtime.
Alvarez.
I was at Showtime.
Canelo Alvarez.
Bro, but champ, I don't want to keep cutting you off, but I got to because here's the thing.
Push.
There's a push for certain people. I remember being at Showtime and even watching on HBO on TV. They're mentioning Saul Alvarez, who I didn't even know his name was Canelo at the time, as a possible Mayweather opponent when they were talking about possible Mayweather opponents. I'm like, I knew who the rest of the guys on the list were. Who the hell is this guy? Who's Saul Alvarez? That he's going on, that you're putting him in a list with all these other guys that you were bona fide champions and high-level fighters.
Revealed Gervonta Davis scrapped his rematch with Lamont Roach just to chase Jake Paul. That move shocked many as it showed. Spectacle outweighed meaningful competition. Roach would have been a serious rival, a fight to advance Tank's career. Instead, Davis chose the quick money option. Critics warn this growing trend. Chasing fame and paychecks over legacy sets a dangerous path for future fighters. Still, the matchup fascinates. Jake has the size and raw power to dominate if permitted, while Tank's speed, elite skill, and championship experience give him the edge in craft. The intrigue lies in the eternal question: can pure skill neutralize brute force, or will size crush technique? That danger, that unpredictability is why, despite being unofficial, the fight keeps audiences hooked.